leading scorer from last season.
They had an excellent outing on Saturday, holding Bournemouth to a 1-1 draw in Santa Barbara. Rob McElhenney was there to see it, and of course, he's here as well tonight. We'll be talking to him at halftime. Alexis is ready to interview Rob McElhenney, and we are pretty much ready for action here. First game of this pre-season for Chelsea, but it's Wrexham who get us underway. Red and blue, and two teams who in their own ways, their own very different ways, have been transformed by overseas ownership. And I guess, Casey, in the last 2 or 3 years, Chelsea have perhaps left more questions than answers in terms of the direction they're going.
Yeah, absolutely, no question. It was a case of just signing anybody that was available, changing managers, and there just hasn't been any kind of consistency with Chelsea over the last couple of years, where it's been exactly the opposite with Wrexham. With the Hollywood ownership coming in, being able to kind of right the financials with Wrexham that were in some pretty serious trouble, and then back-to-back promotions and looking to keep going. It's been impressive from what Rob and Ryan have been able to do at Wrexham, and then combine that with the success of the television series as well.
Yeah, the unbridled success. All sorts of Emmy nominations coming their way. Chelsea would just love to get back to success on the football pitch. They had a taste of it, didn't they? Tail end of last season, finished well for the Blues. 5 consecutive victories in the Premier League. They won the final 5 games to finish in 6th place, which looked to be a respectable first year in charge for Mauricio Pochettino, particularly given what had preceded it, Casey, which was a 12th place finish in that awful 22-23 campaign, and yet Pochettino was let go.
Yeah, that was really surprising. I think that if they hadn't had that 5-match run, then it wouldn't have been surprising. But with that, you thought, okay, they've kind of figured out who he wants to keep, who he probably wants to get rid of, what kind of areas need to be strengthened, and then it was basically hitting the reset button all over again. And so there's going to be a lot of pressure on Maresca to be able to get it right straight away.
Oof, a flare-up straight away between Colwill and James McLean. Friendly? What friendly? Well, James McLean is never one to back down, is he? But seriously? 2 minutes in?
Well, I don't know if there was just a little kick out from McLean. And obviously, Colwill didn't agree with it and then made a quick reaction straight away.
Levi Colwill, the 21-year-old.
So he's going to pass this ball, Adrian, and watch that little kick. And then it's like, hey, this is preseason. This is the first game. This is a friendly. Why are we kicking people here in the opening minutes? And I think we saw that the other day in Santa Barbara, where there was a couple tackles early in the match where you and I were kind of questioning the preseason attitude, and it's starting even earlier today.
Were they reading that the WWE was in this stadium once upon a time?
I guess. Or maybe an American football tackle. I'm not sure, but it was, yeah. I wasn't very happy, but I think everybody will calm down.
Well, if Chelsea were hoping for a nice, calm, sort of working their jet-lagged legs away and into the US tour, then perhaps Wrexham have other ideas here tonight, as Chelsea have themselves a free kick. First look at the young striker they've signed, Mark Guiu, and that's one of the Wrexham new arrivals, George Dobson. Big pickup for them. Dobson, who was the Charlton captain last year in League One. That's the league that Wrexham are now preparing for life in.
Well, we felt they defended very well, set pieces and organizationally, the other day against Bournemouth. Now, we know that this Chelsea side has maybe a little bit more dynamic up front than Bournemouth have, but still, they're going to have to defend equally well, if not better, tonight if they want to keep things tight, as opposed to last season when Chelsea.
Reece James taking, and may have caught the outside of the post, trying to catch Okonkwo cheating a little.
Yeah, Okonkwo was always going to try to see if he could just make sure that he had the outside of the post covered, but the wall wasn't lined up as well as he would like. And in the end, they're able to swing it around, and he got around pretty well. Looked like he may have just had it covered. Probably had a little heart in his mouth moment there for a second, but in the end, goal kick.
Reece James. First corner delivered and flicked on. Reece James arriving. It was James who delivered the corner kick. And Guillou so close to getting on the end of that flick.
Yeah, it's Nkunku at the near post who's disappointed that he didn't get enough on it, and then he probably wished he'd gotten a little more on it, and Guillou might have snuck in at the far post, but a little loose defending, allowing Nkunku that near post space.
A lot of eyebrows raised, perhaps, around the footballing world. Well, Enzo Maresca was handed the reins of Chelsea this past off-season, replacing Mauricio Pochettino. Perhaps a little surprisingly departed after a strong end to the season, but Maresca having two new signings, their first football today. And you saw Nkunku on that last corner. It's almost like getting a new signing back in Christopher Nkunku, who played so little last year. Good run by Madueke. And that will result in another Chelsea corner.
But one of the big differences when you move up the leagues is the pace of the individual players throughout the Premier League. And here's a prime example. Just isolated out wide. Just a little touch and run. Good recovery speed, though, to make the last-ditch challenge at the expense of another corner.
And that was again Sebastian Ravan. One of Wrexham's new arrivals. Arthur Okonkwo is now a permanent member of this Wrexham story after being on loan from Arsenal for most of last season. Post corner, still up for grabs. And referee Timothy Ford, I think, signalling handball.
Yep, you can just see just kind of bounced around awkwardly in the end. Pretty easy call. Tosin just bounces awkwardly off, hits him in the arm.
Here's Ollie Palmer. And we saw the Wrexham team sheet tonight. We thought, well, it's Palmer on his own up front, but to our surprise, James McLean has been partnering him up there. Phil Parkinson at the dawn of his fourth year in charge. 2 consecutive promotions, and now he's heading into a league where he has an awful lot of experience and success. Phil Parkinson has coached more games in League One than any other league he's been involved with, and he's coached over 800 games in his career.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're very happy with what they've gotten so far in Parkinson, and again, he has the experience at this level and higher, so there's no reason why you don't give him 100% opportunity to see if he can continue this great run.
Oh, Okonkwo charged down by Guillou. You saw that back pass, even if it's still relatively new to him. 4 or 5 years ago.
But that goes a long ways with the fans and when there's a commitment.
Here's George sizing it up and then taking the shot eventually. Still might break that. And it does eventually for Christopher Nkunku, who's on target in the USA again. Last summer proved to be so agonizing for Nkunku, as did most of the season that followed. He's looking to start again. It's a pretty good way to start here in Santa Clara.
People talk sometimes, why do you hit shots from distance? Why do you put balls into areas when maybe your odds of scoring yourself aren't great? Well, here's a prime example. The initial ball comes in and then it gets headed out wide. And as it falls out to Tyreek George, he kind of takes his time and then he hits into an area, because sometimes the fortunate rebound just falls to one of your teammates. And it's Colwell who does a really great